Good evening, dear listener. I'm glad you're here. Let's slow the world down together so it becomes as gentle as a feather resting on your palm. If you're lying down, nestle into your pillow. Let the covers be a soft cocoon. If you're seated, let the chair hold you, steady and kind. There is nothing you need to do now except breathe and be. Take a slow, roomy inhale through the nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2. 1, 2. Now a long, silky exhale through the mouth for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, inhale 4, the ribs opening like quiet curtains. Hold 2, just resting. Exhale 6, the breath leaving like a small tide sliding over smooth stones. One more time, just as soft. Inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. As you breathe, notice how the small muscles of the face begin to melt. The forehead smooths. The corners of the eyes soften. The jaw unhooks, with no need to work tonight. Shoulders lower, as if someone set down a heavy book on a shelf and stepped back with a smile. Your hands unpeel from the day. Your belly loosens. Your feet sink into their warm places like pebbles into clear sand. You are safe. You are home. If you have a warm drink nearby, take one last light sip and set the cup down with care. Let the scent linger, a hint of chamomile or mint or something honeyed and calm. The room holds you like dusk holds a field, shadows softening, everything saying shh in its own way. Tonight's story is about kindness, simple, steady, bright as a lantern behind the heart. It is a story about listening, not with the ears alone, but with the whole body. It begins in a village where evening comes early, where the roofs are clay red and small windows glow like quiet stars. On the edge of this village lives a young woman named Mira. Her hair carries the clean smell of fresh air, and her hands know the shapes of baskets and bread, the familiar weave of willow, and the husk of grain. She walks softly, the way people do who have spent time with the wind. Mira keeps a simple promise to herself on clear evenings. She goes to the forest to pick berries before the light thins to silver. Not for any rush, not for any count, just enough to sweeten a loaf or brighten a bowl. The path begins behind her cottage, where time grows wild among the stones. When she closes her gate, it gives a gentle click, like a small contented sigh. She lifts her basket, empty and hopeful, and the path greets her feet, pine needles whispering under each step. Hush, hush. The forest is close by. It waits the way a friend waits, near, patient, already smiling. As Mira approaches, the air cools. The smells deepen, damp moss, soft bark, the faint sugar of ripe fruit. Light drips through the canopy in thin golden threads, and in that stitched light, small flecks of dust float and spin, as lazy as boats in a pond. Birds loosen their last notes of the day. Somewhere, water moves around a stone, quiet as a lullaby. The forest has a voice, though it does not speak in words at first. It speaks in shape and touch and temperature, in the small hush of branch against branch. Mira steps beneath the first boughs and pauses. She closes her eyes a moment, because she was taught to greet living things with stillness. She listens. Leaves shift. A twig ticks softly as it settles. Far off, a deer taps the ground, then waits. The forest is not a place to conquer, she knows. It is a place to visit, like a home that is not yours, and yet never refuses you. When she opens her eyes, the trees seem taller, not because they have grown, but because her gaze has lowered in respect. There is a particular patch she loves, where wild strawberries hide among pale flowers. They are shy berries, tiny and bright, waiting beneath leaves shaped like little hands. She kneels there, the basket resting against her knee. The first berry she finds is warm from the day, with a fragrance like a memory of summer. She tucks it into the basket, pat, then another, and another, each one a small kindness in red. The work is slow and soothing. She does not rush through the forest. She lets the forest set the pace. And so the mind slows to match. Her breathing eases into the rhythm of gathering. In, find, lift, out. In, find, lift, out. The evening air and the soft earth do their quiet work, and the body answers with calm. Sometimes, when she finds two berries growing side by side, she smiles at the way they lean toward each other, as if they have been talking all day in gentle tones. Shh. You might like to match Mira's rhythm for a little while. Let the next inhale carry the cool of the woods into your chest. Let the exhale lay down the last of today's worries like twigs placed gently beside the path. As you breathe, imagine the tall trunks around you, striped with shadow and light. Imagine the soft green cathedral above, stitched with birds and a thin early star. Imagine the ground underfoot, springy, tender, forgiving. This is where the forest begins to share, and where the story truly opens. Its voice is not a shout, not even a call. It's the kind of voice you hear when you are already quiet. The kind that sounds like leaves thinking together. It is easy to miss if you are hurried, but tonight we are not hurried. Tonight we are made of evening. In a few moments, the trees will begin to tell their old legends, the ones they keep for people who come with empty baskets and open hearts. Legends about unlikely friendships and the power of a kind word carried farther than any bird. They will speak to Mira, and through her to you. Before we step deeper among them, take one more slow breath, letting your shoulders ease further, your jaw soften, your forehead smooth. Let the bed or the chair meet you fully. Let the lids of your eyes feel a little heavier, like leaves closing for the night. The forest is ready to whisper. The basket is ready to fill. And kindness is ready to show its quiet strength, the way roots hold a hill together without asking for praise. When you're ready, we'll walk the cool path between the trees and listen for what they've been saving for this very evening, for this very listener, gentle you. Mira, grown, steady, and gentle in her ways, rose from the strawberry patch with her basket half full, and her heart even fuller. The path ahead curved like a ribbon of dusk between trunks that wore their years with grace. When she set her foot forward, the forest seemed to breathe in with her, as if the whole place waited for the first word. It came not as a word at all, but as a tone, like wind threading a flute made of leaves. Welcome back, it seemed to say, not to the ears, but to that quiet place behind the ribs where warmth collects. Mira paused, hand resting on a low branch. The bark was cool, lightly ridged, and in those ridges her fingertips felt a very slow pulse, like the many-season heartbeat of wood. The branch belonged to an old pine whose crown swayed in the last light. When the bough shifted, cones clinked together with a tiny music, tick, tick, and the pine's voice arrived, steady and deep as a lake at midnight. We keep stories for those who ask softly, it hummed. I am listening, Mira whispered, and her words landed in the air like seeds on soft soil. She took a seat on a cushioned rock, moss thick as velvet, springy beneath her palms, and the forest arranged itself as a circle of attention. A birch with silver skin, a beech with arms like welcoming gates, a slender alder near a trickling rill. Sparrows hopped among ferns, heads tilting, as though they too had come for the telling. Far above, a cloud brushed the moon, and a faint mist sifted through the canopy, more suggestion than weather, as gentle as breath on a mirror. The pine began the first legend. Once, it murmured, there was a brook who hurried. All day it ran, eager to reach a far-off meadow it had heard about in a dream. On the way, it met a round stone, smooth as a cupped palm, sitting in its bed. The brook nudged the stone, then pressed against it, wanting it gone. But the stone stayed, still and faithful. At first, the brook believed the stone was in its way. Yet, as seasons passed, the stone taught the brook how to sing. Mira could hear it then, the brook's song, shaped by the stone's patient curve. A low hush, a rising thread, a delicate trill around the edges. The pine's voice spun slower, softer. The brook learned that a friend does not always move with you at your speed, it said. Sometimes a friend is the kind shape you flow around, the one who gives your voice a place to be heard. Together, the brook and the stone made a sound that soothed birds and beasts and roots alike. And when the brook finally reached that far meadow, it carried with it the music that had been born in kindness. The beech rustled in approval. Mira felt the idea settle in her chest like a warm pebble. She thought of people she had known whose steadiness let her waters sing. The birch, bright and silvery, lifted 1,000 tiny leaves that flashed like small coins in the dim. Its voice was higher, a whisper threaded with laughter. I will tell a softer tale, the birch breathed, of a wren and a storm. A storm came one autumn, not cruel, only strong. The wren was small and trembled on a twig. The wind asked, "What holds you, little one?" And the wren said, "Nothing but trust." You see, the wren had spent spring and summer learning the map of the branches. She knew where each twig curved and gave. where each fork was a shelter. And the tree knew the wren, knew how to bend without breaking. When the storm arrived, the wren tucked into the exact hollow that was shaped for her, and the tree folded its leaves like hands cupped around a candle. The storm passed with its gray drum, and the wren's heartbeat found its small, sweet rhythm again. Kindness is the promise that when the wind grows, we remember where to tuck one another gently. Mira's breath aligned with that gentle rhythm. In, out. The forest seemed to lean closer, every needle and blade listening. She drew a strawberry from her basket and placed it on the moss, a small offering. "Thank you," she said, voice simple and real. From the shadowed edge near the rill, the alder spoke in a hushed, flowing tone. "One more," it offered, "and then we will walk you home." It told of a woodcutter, a careful man, whose hands were lined like dry riverbeds. He lived alone at the edge of the woods, and his work was to tidy the fallen limbs after winter and shape them into warmth. One day he found a sapling bent low under a fallen bough. He could have taken both for his stove. Instead, he knelt. He lifted the bough, slow as dawn, and set it aside. He splinted the sapling with a smooth stick, tied it with soft cloth torn from his own shirt, and watered the soil with a cupped palm. He returned week after week to loosen the ties, to hum to the leaves, mmm, mmm, until the sapling straightened. Years later, when his roof needed a beam and his table a leg, he asked the grown tree for one strong limb. The tree bowed, and the wood he gave held the house through many winters. From kindness grew shelter, not just for one, but for all who entered that door. Mira imagined the old man's home, steady, warm, a table that held soup and stories, a beam that creaked in the rain, the way a contented cat purrs. She felt the alder's quiet truth. Care returns again and again, like seasons. A fox padded into the clearing then, as if invited by the telling. Its steps were soft, precise. It sat a little way off, tail curled around its feet, and blinked in that slow way that says peace. Mira lifted another berry and set it nearer. The fox sniffed and left it where it was, content just to share the space. The pine resumed, voice like the slow turn of stars. "We speak to any who come empty of hurry and full of listening. You have done this. So hear a last, small teaching, Mira. Kindness is not a task you check off. It is the way the basket rests against your hip without digging in, the way your footsteps leave the path untroubled, the way your eyes soften a stranger's day. It is a practice, like breathing, shared among roots and rivers and people. A breeze braided through the clearing. Leaves gave a hush that felt like a blessing. Mira's shoulders released another hidden knot, and her hands, even her fingers, felt warm and light. She looked down at the berries, simple, bright, and saw in them the forest's quiet signatures of care: sun, rain, time, and the tender shelter of leaves. The beach sighed, a sound like a lull gently let out of a bellows. "Will you carry our legends back?" it asked. "I will," Mira promised, "in the way I walk, in the words I choose, in how I share what I have." The trees seemed to smile in the dark. They spoke once more, together this time, like a choir of low, soothing winds. "Then let us walk you to the edge." Mira rose, basket steady on her arm. The path back gathered itself like a ribbon drawn through a ring. Pine needles cushioned each step. Hush, hush, and the brook to her left hummed its stone-taught song. Overhead, stars stitched themselves into a slow, kind pattern. The fox kept her company, not too near, not far, only close enough to be felt. As the trees guided her, Mira carried their legends in the easiest place, right behind her heart. She did not hold them tight, but lightly, the way one carries a lantern with a loose hand, letting it sway and cast gentle ellipses of light. With each breath, she knew more clearly. Friendship need not be loud to be strong, and kindness, though quiet, is the warmest power she had ever known. The trees settled into silhouettes, patient and tall, as Mira and the fox reached the woodland edge. The village lamps glowed like low embers across the field, and the sky carried the softest blue that comes just before night rests completely. The forest breathed out, and Mira breathed with it, a long, unhurried exhale that seemed to smooth the path itself. "Thank you," she whispered, toward the trunks and leaves and the small lives folded into them. The answer was a hush, a fingertip against the lips of the world. "Shh, kindness lingering like the aftertaste of something sweet. She crossed the meadow where grasses brushed her calves with the gentleness of silk. Dew gathered on their tips, tiny mirrors holding one bright star each. Her basket felt pleasantly heavy, real and good in the crook of her arm. When she reached her gate, it clicked in that familiar, tender way, and the cottage welcomed her with the simple music of home, the close air warming to her body, the faint creak of a trusted chair, the small friendly sigh of floorboards. She rinsed a handful of berries, ate 3, 1, 2, 3, slowly with gratitude, and set the rest into a bowl. A kettle murmured as water met herbs, and steam rose like a soft thought through the lamplight. Mira did not need many words. She felt the legends standing around her like calm friends. The brook and the stone, the wren and the tree, the woodcutter and the sapling. She moved through the room, remembering. Friendship shapes our song. Trust is a shelter. Care returns as shelter for many. The fox paused at the doorway, blinked once in peace, and padded back into the night, tail a small comet that faded at the forest's edge. She washed her hands, the warm water encouraging her fingers to loosen their last hidden work. Then she snuffed the lamp to a gentle glow and lay down. The bed lifted her as a raft lifts a dreamer. The world grew simple again. Sheet, pillow, slow breath. Outside, a light sprinkle began, as if the clouds were rinsing the sky for sleep. And now, dear listener, as Mira settles, we will settle with her. Nothing to plan, nowhere to go. Just this moment, kind and whole. Let's prepare the body for rest, the mind for the softest drift. Begin by noticing the breath where it is. No need to change it yet. Feel how it moves all by itself, like a small tide turning, beneath a moon you can't see but trust completely. Good. Now, together, let's take a gentle breath in through the nose for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for the softest 2. 1, 2. Exhale through the mouth for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let the shoulders drop a whisper. Again, inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. The ribs widen like slow curtains opening and then float back easy. One last time. Inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. A body scan, feather light. Crown of the head, smooth like a still pond. Forehead, release. Imagine warm hands brushing away the day. Brows and eyelids, heavy, pleasant, closing like leaves at dusk. The small muscles around the eyes soften until they forget they were ever working. Cheeks unfurl. Lips part just enough for breath. Quiet and free. Jaw, unhook, drop, melt. The tongue rests loose in the cradle of the mouth. Neck and throat, widen and warm. If there are thoughts, let them be like distant lanterns on a hillside, present, gentle, far away. Shoulders, they lower by themselves, like a book placed onto a waiting shelf. Upper arms, elbows, forearms, heavy but comfortable, warm as baked stones that have given up their heat to the evening. Hands, the palms feel open, fingers uncurled, each finger heavier than the last grain of sand in an hourglass. Chest, the breath is a quilt that rises and settles, rises and settles. Heartbeat, slow, kind, steady. Belly, soft, responsive. Let it expand with each inhale and soften with each exhale. Back, imagine the forest's moss beneath you, springy, supportive, perfectly shaped to hold your weight without asking anything in return. Hips and pelvis, broadening, released, welcome. Thighs, knees, calves, warmth drifting down like lamplight pouring over a table. Ankles, feet, toes, each toe a little candle being gently pinched out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the other foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All the little flames gone to glow, all the glow gone to rest. Outside, the rain keeps its small conversation with the roof, a hush-hush lull of kindness. Inside, the room holds a pocket of night made just for you. If you like, imagine Mira's cottage window barely lit, a thin strand of amber along the sill, the bowl of strawberries waiting for morning. Imagine her breathing slowly at the same pace you are keeping now. You are not alone. All through the world there are quiet rooms and quiet hearts, and you are one of them. Now a gentle picture and stay. A smooth stone in a brook, water threading both sides and singing because of the shape. Or a small wren tucked into a twig hollow, while the tree curves its leaves like cupped hands. Or a sapling growing straight by seasons, because someone chose care. Choose one image and rest there. When the mind wanders, it can come back to this one soft anchor and nest. Now a gentle countdown from 10 to 1, each number a step deeper into the kind forest of sleep. 10. The body knows it is safe. 9. Shoulders heavier, jaw softer. 8. Breath like tide under a calm moon. 7. Thoughts as lanterns drifting farther up the hill. 6. The bed is moss, the pillow is a small meadow. 5. Hands and feet wrapped in quiet warmth. 4. The stone, the wren, the sapling, friendship, trust, care. 3. The rain hushes, hushes, hushes. 2. Kindness pooled behind the heart like a warm light. 1. Sleep arrives like a friend who knows the back door and lets themselves in without a sound. Let the last of this story fold over you like a soft blanket. The forest keeps its gentle watch. The brook sings. The wren dreams. The woodcutter's beam holds steady through the night. And you, dear one, you are floating in a quiet, kind tide that carries you exactly where you need to go. Sleep well. Good night.